Kristen and Adrian said that they would be on this morning. If anyone else is tuning in, welcome. We are going to be doing a little different thing this morning. I'm just going to verify, make sure somebody says, yes, you can see me. Okay, Adrian says, yes, I can. Hi, Adrian. Okay, so explaining just a little bit about Moon Day. Today is a new moon. It's July 20th, and at 12:30, just past noon today in Kansas City, the moon will go from getting darker and darker to turning and start to get lighter and lighter. And it's really interesting to think about the phases of the moon and the fact that we are in this rhythm. Whether we're aware of it or not, we are always in nature's rhythm. And it does affect us at some kind of level, even if we're not aware of it. So with Ashtanga, we respect the fact that we are part of this bigger nature. And we recognize that these parts of nature, when we pay attention, that we can incorporate those phases, those patterns into our life. And I really believe it helps us to be more sensitive to information that could be coming our way that we ignore sometimes. We might call that the promptings of the spirit, or other people may have other terms for it. But I feel keenly that this information can really make our life more smooth. So back to Ashtanga. The tradition is to not practice on moon days, which include the new moon, which include a full moon, and also women who are on their cycle. Those are called moon days. So either you skip your practice or you do something lower energy than you otherwise would. Now, the problem is when we're first starting our practice, sometimes we start looking for excuses to skip our practice. And so at first, when I was not being very consistent with my practice 6 days a week, I would not skip moon days because maybe I already skipped 3 days last week or whatever. So we don't want to use this just simply as an excuse to skip our practice. But if our energy is low, if we have a reason, it really is good to change things up. So I often don't talk about moon days to beginners because it's just over the top too much, and we don't need that excuse to skip a day of practice when we're not being very regular. So today I'm going to teach something that you could do on one of those moon days. And it's based on a series called the Ashtanga Moon series, or Chakranda, I think is the right word for moon in Sanskrit. And I went to a workshop, as did Kristen, and it was really, really good. I do not have it memorized, and you don't really have to memorize this, but once you have some knowledge of various poses, you can do a more grounding practice, which is what we're going to do. I'm going to be making some of this up as I go along. I was experimenting, that's why I'm a little bit late getting on the stream. I was experimenting before so that I wouldn't have to fumble so much in front of you guys. So let's just give it a try. Kristen is here. Thanks, Kristen. I love having you here. And we're going to start in a kneeling position. So if you have blocks or a blanket, it's probably a really good thing to have so that it's easier on your knees. I have set up 2 blocks. They are on, so if the very lowest setting is 1, then on the side is 2, and then way up on the end, that's 3. I am in the number 2 position, and because I'm going to be sitting on it quite a bit, I put 2 blocks side by side to make it a little cushier on my tushy. So that's what you're seeing over here, 2 yoga blocks at the back of the mat. Just these are set side by side. They could be just one low or two on the very highest position. Today I'm just going to do the number 2 position. And then I'm going to put my legs on either side and sit on these blocks in a kneeling position. When we were doing this workshop, they really encouraged to use the blocks. I was next to a yogi that I knew, and she started with no blocks at all, and I think it wasn't as easeful as it needed to be for her, and I think she eventually maybe put a block down to sit on like this, rather than sitting straight on the ground. So just start in this seated position, just in a kneeling position. When you think about scriptures and it says to kneel to pray, I wonder what that does to the body to be in a kneeling position. Which makes me think maybe it's not a bad idea to do our prayers sometimes sitting on a block in a kneeling position. I don't have an answer to that. I would love anybody's thoughts on how kneeling may be useful in terms of our body and prayer. So just sit here for a minute, hands on your thighs, sitting tall, and trying to just feel where your body is in relationship to the space around you. One thing to notice is what we call the sits bones, or the perineum. That place of the perineum, which is for women between where your pee comes out and where your vagina is, that area is the perineum. For men, you can kind of know it's someplace in that area. Since I'm not a man, I probably can't speak to that very well. So just try to find that spot. And it's almost like you can find an energy rod that goes straight up, and you can either kind of find yourself behind that spot or kind of in front of that spot. So you're trying to find that place of balance. And that may be with your eyes open, with your eyes closed, and just feel that on your body. Now get some height, get some of that bandha work going, where you're really feeling grounding down below the waist and reaching through the spine up to the top of the crown of your head. And notice your breath moving through that channel that you've created. It's always there, but you have straightened that channel to run the air, the breath up and down through. In the middle is called the Sushumna. Just breathing through there. Now from this position with your eyes closed, maybe you can envision the channels on either side of the Sushumna. This is an energy, these are energy channels. The one on the left is Pingala, the one on the right is Ida. I may have that backwards. It's Ida and Pingala, which are left and right energy. The left energy is feminine energy. That doesn't mean just women, but the qualities that you think of as typically feminine. And the channel on the right is the masculine energy. On the right, you think of the sun and how it constantly radiates. There isn't so much a cycle of the sun. Clouds can move in front of it, but it's constantly radiating. That's masculine, kind of more aggressive maybe. It's your drive. It makes you move forward even when you don't feel like it. On the left is the moon energy. It's more subtle. In the nighttime you have light, but it comes and goes, and we respect that softness. Both has such great power. Without nighttime, without moon energy, we would burn ourselves out on this planet. So we're very blessed with the cycles and patterns of nature. So just one more breath in and out the nose, up those middle channels, imagining what they might look like within yourself. And then open your eyes gently and we start with something that looks a bit like a sun salute. Hopefully you're feeling quite comfortable in this seated kneeling position. Bring your hands together. Let's do an Om, just to feel that vibration in our body. Exhale the air. Inhale. Exhale the hands down. Inhale, hands up. Exhale down. One more, inhale up. Exhale the hands down. Now, this time we're going to inhale. Bring our hands all the way forward into a child's pose. Just feel that on your body. You might consider bringing your elbows energetically towards the ground. As you do that, your shoulders will open up. Notice how your thumb and your first finger want to follow. Counter pose that elbows towards the ground by putting the base of the thumb and the first finger firmly on the mat. So we're bringing the elbows energetically either towards each other, towards the mat, rolling the upper arm bones away from the ears. And then the lower arm, we've got the opposite direction, so the thumb, first finger are creating that balance. Inhale, come on back up. And exhale there. Inhale the hands up. Exhale, come forward into your child's pose. Inhale, come on back up. Bring the hands up on the inhale. Exhale the hands down. And repeat. Inhale, bring the hands up. Exhale the arms forward. Inhale, come up. Exhale there. We're going to take it another step and go into a downward facing dog in this series. So inhale, look up to the thumbs. Exhale, forward into a child's pose. Inhale, look to your hands and come up into a cow position. Turn your toes and go into a downward facing dog position. Just feel that downward facing dog on your body. Again, feel those elbows coming towards each other and the thumb and the first finger countering that, bringing strength into your upper back. Inhale, just come forward into a cat back, knees down. Exhale there into a cow back. Inhale, come back into your child's pose. Should be on the blocks. Exhale there. Inhale, come on back up. So I'm a little bit off my blocks. I'm going to have to move back. And exhale. Inhale the hands up. Exhale the hands forward, head down. Inhale into a cow position. Exhale into a downward facing dog position. Let's just breathe here again. Feel the energy in this shape when your body is in this shape. Try not to move your feet or your hands for this so that we end up back on our blocks. Now inhale the knees down into a cat back. Exhale into a cow back. Let's inhale into a cat back. Exhale back into child's pose. Inhale, come on up. Exhale there. Now we're going to move through that without pausing. So inhale the hands up. Exhale the hands forward, head down. Inhale into a cow position. And then exhale. Let's just inhale into a cat position, exhale into the cat position, then inhale into a downward facing dog, exhale the knees down, and, sorry guys, I'm trying to think through it. Inhale the cat, exhale back into a child's pose. Inhale up, cat, exhale, cow. Inhale, downward facing dog, exhale the knees down. Inhale, cat, exhale, child's pose. Inhale, cat, exhale, cow. Inhale, downward facing dog, exhale the knees down. Inhale, cat, exhale, child's pose. Again, inhale, cat, exhale, downward face, we missed the cow, sorry. Downward facing dog, and just inhale there, exhale the knees down, and then I'm coming back into a child's pose. So this doesn't have to be perfect. You just move through those poses. Maybe you want to add an upward facing dog to it. But the interesting thing is you just keep moving intuitively into breath by breath. One thing I like about this is to feel the proportions of my hands and feet on my body. As I don't move my hands and feet around, I find out that, oh, I fit on this mat without moving. So just do a couple more rounds of what feels like a nice flow for you. And meet in child's pose. Wherever you are when you get there, I'm just going to stay here for a moment. Try one more time, that feeling of bringing the elbows down. The top of the arm bones kind of come back into the pits, the armpits. And you can feel a stretch in the arms. Then inhale, come on back up onto the block. We're going to add a little more height to this, but still stay grounded. So the inhale is coming to a high kneeling position and bringing the hands behind the back, pushing the hips forward. This is a little back bend. And then release. And come on back down. Inhale to the upper position, upper kneeling position. Exhale your hands to your back. And then inhale, really give a stretch. It's more about the hips coming forward than top of the back. And exhale there. Let's do one more. Inhale to high kneel. Exhale the hands to the hips. Inhale, push forward with the hips. Exhale to a neutral position and down. One more time. Inhale to a high kneel. Exhale the hands to the hips. Inhale, forward the hips. Exhale, neutral and down. Now we're going to add the lunge, kind of like Surya Namaskar B. See how this goes. So inhale up, exhale, bring your hips forward, and then it's going to be an exhale, bring your hands to the mat, and downward facing dog. Step forward with your right foot, and then put your knee down. Inhale the hands up, look to your thumbs, and exhale the hands down, step back, and then the knees down, exhale, sit back on the blocks. Inhale, high kneeling, exhale, hands to the hips, inhale, push the hips forward, exhale, cow back or neutral back, and then into the downward facing dog. We're going to inhale the left foot forward, put the knee down, exhale there. Inhale Inhale the hands up. Exhale the hands down, step back. And then the knees down, and then sit on the block again. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale the hands to the waist. Inhale, push the hips forward. Exhale, bring the hands down and switch to your downward facing dog. Bring your right foot forward, knee down. Inhale, the thumbs up. Exhale, the thumbs down. Step back. Knees down and sit on the blocks. Inhale, high kneel. Bring your hands down. Downward facing dog. Step forward with the left. Knee down. Inhale the hands up. Exhale the hands down. Stand up. Downward facing dog. Knees down and seated. Some people will step way out and do a lunge that really stretches the thigh. So I'm going to try that. My knees, high plank. Exhale the hands down. Downward facing dog. Now I'm going to try to step further forward and put the knee down to give a stretch there. Maybe I bring my hands up, or maybe I just stretch from there, keeping my hands down. Stepping back. Downward facing dog. Back to the blocks. Inhale to the high position. Exhale the hands. Push the hips forward. Exhale the hands down. Downward facing dog. Step way out in front. And maybe it's keeping the hands down. Maybe bring your hands up. Back to the downward position. Knees down. And back to your block. So this could be very intuitive, working through some of those. Those would be like your sun A, your sun B. So it's your moon salute A, your moon salute B. And maybe one day I'll actually memorize the series the way it's taught by, I think his name is William Sweeney. All right, so we're going to do a few standing poses now. In a similar way, we're going to get to the top of our mat and stand and just do a few standing poses from this more gentle position. So let's come up on our knees, bring the hands up, exhale the hands down, inhale the downward facing dog. Now do this, stay in your downward facing dog and come up on your tippy toes. Feel how that feels in your body. Now bring the heels down. Do it again. Really bring up your heels. And it feels good to me to do that once more. Inhale the heels up. And down. Now, in this downward facing dog position, take your right hand. This is very vinyasa. We don't do this in Ashtanga much. And just raise your right foot behind you. And then let it drop so that there's a side stretch. So my heel is going away, like it's close to my bottom, but it's going across midline. And exhale that foot down. Inhale the left leg all the way up and feel the stretch through the hip, maybe through the side of your body. And bring the foot back down. Inhale, look up. Exhale the knees down. And then come on back to our seated position. Here we go again. Upper position, hands on hips. Push the hips forward. And then down into all fours. Downward facing dog. Lift the right leg. Pull it away. Exhale the foot down. Let's just bring up the left leg, stretch the hip, let it fall away, and then bring that foot down. Let's inhale the knees down, exhale back to the block. Okay, this time we're going to come to a standing position at the top of the mat. So, up on our high kneel, exhale the hands down. Let's just inhale our upward facing dog and step forward to the top of the mat with both feet, hands on, so just like our regular sun salute. Exhale the head down, inhale, stand up, lift your thumbs, exhale the hands down. This is not how we got there. Let's come back to the block. So inhale, look up, exhale the hands down, head down, inhale, look up, exhale, step back to your blocks, and then exhale the knees down and come back into a child's pose. Let me see if I can remember how he got to that standing position. Give me a second. Inhale, exhale, downward facing dog. Oh, he just stepped forward with the right into a lunge and then came up. And now we're ready for triangle without doing full vinyasa. So just an easy triangle. Just feel it on your body. Down, bring your hand down behind your back, and then take your right hand on the ground and lunge your knee. Now you're in side angle position, and just bring your hand up or leave your arm behind your back and just try to feel this pose. Inhale both of your hands down onto the mat. Bring your foot back by the block. Bring the other foot back. Knees down. Sitting back on the blocks. And then we're just going to repeat. Inhale, come up. Let's push the hips forward. Exhale the hands down. Into a downward facing dog. Step forward with the left this time. And stabilize with a 45-degree angle with your back foot. Now we can come up and turn into our second side triangle pose. Now 5. Bring your upper hand behind your back. Take your left hand, put it next to your foot so that you have an angle here. And then if you want to raise your right arm in the sky again, you can. And this is a very grounding pose. I feel 3 limbs, my hand and 2 feet, really grounding here. And 5, bring the hand back to your back, straighten the leg, come on back up. Both hands on the side of the foot, step back, knees down, back into a child's pose, and then come on back up. So let's do a few seated poses now. I don't think we need our blocks at this point, so just come up and bring your blocks to the side and go into our Dandasana position. Just feel the Dandasana on your body. All right, do you have that block just right by you? Take the smallest end of the block and bring it to, it's called the Dantian, it's in Chinese. It's between the first and second chakra, it's below the navel, and just kind of push that block into there and try to come up over the block. So your block is there to help push that Uddiyana Bandha back. And just start with a forward fold like this. So I've got my arms on the end of that block, kind of pushing it back into my belly while I'm coming forward. And then as you keep on breathing, if you feel like you have more to go forward, go for it. Just keep holding it. This should not be a really strenuous stretch, just an easy stretch. Feels good to me to push the block into that position. You could also do this at the wall so that your feet are grounding against the wall. Feel like bringing your hands over the top of your feet. You can do that. So we're just breathing and allowing these muscles to stretch right to the edge, but not going over the edge. And sometimes we find that there's the edge, the muscles are stretched, and we can find a new edge by holding the position. There's a kind of yoga called yin yoga, which is all about finding the edge of your position of whatever stretch and just holding it for many minutes, like 3 to 5 minutes. So a yin practice is about quietness in a stretch, quieting the mind while you do the stretch. If you're ready, inhale, look up, and exhale, release the pose. And just shake your legs out here. Wiggle your hips a little bit. We're going to do a Dandasana. Not Dandasana, Janushirshasana. So the one where you put your sole of your foot to the inner thigh and just really stretch it up. We could have that block there again if that feels good to you, or just come into whatever position that feels good. So again, we're not rushing. This is not necessarily 5 breaths, but at least 5 breaths. Just feeling that pose, that shape of the body. And finding that maybe there's just a little bit further that you want to stretch without compromising the back. Now inhale, look up. Exhale, leave the foot where it is and try this other stretch. Take your left hand in the middle, so it's next to your knee, and look towards your right shoulder. So you're going to lay your left side towards your thigh in this position. And my hand, let me see, maybe you need to see what I'm doing. I'll turn. My palm is up as I look away. I'm going to bring my right arm back so that there's this kind of a side stretch we don't usually do in our primary series. And then might be that you do a little bit more or you just hold it. If it feels good and you want to try to take your right hand and grab your left toe and look underneath your arm, there's that side stretch again. Inhale, look to your toe, put your hand down if it's up, and gently come on back up. And Shake your legs a little bit, and let's do the second side. So just your regular Janushirshasana to start with. If you want to have the block there, you can. Just gently find the edge. And it might be in your hamstrings where you feel this, or it might be in your hips. I feel this especially in my left hip and down my thigh, which may not be at all what you are feeling. Make sure that you're breathing up and over the femur as usual. Just because we're holding it doesn't mean we want to get sloppy with our alignment. Feel my left leg not working very much, so I'm going to remind my foot to push against my thigh. It protects the knee. And then when you're ready, inhale, look up and release the pose and go into that second position. My elbow is down. It might not be your elbow. Maybe I don't know. I wish I could see you guys right now, but I can't. But for me, my elbow is down, my palm is up, and I'm just turning away, looking towards my left shoulder as I continue to do the same stretch down the leg. So my right ribs are coming towards my right thigh. And if it feels good and you want to try it, you can arch your left arm over and touch your toe, and this gives an additional stretch to the ribs. Looking underneath the arm, underneath the armpit if you're doing this. Trying to keep the length in the spine, not collapse. And inhale, look to the toe, exhale the pose. And bring your leg forward and kind of shake it out. So this is our vinyasa on our moon day, right? It's just shaking out the stuff. Let's do, well, might be called butterfly. It's Baddha Konasana. Konasana means angle. Baddha means bound or block. So Baddha Konasana is bound angle pose, or colloquially butterfly. So this is that inner groin. You can work at this from two angles. One is that you're trying to have your heels close to your body, and that's one way to open up the groin. The other is sitting tall and kind of coming forward in this position. As I recall, they had us do a really long, let's try this, come on, inhale back up out of that pose, and have a really long diamond. I think I remember this from them. So this really long diamond, sitting tall, and then coming forward. Still trying to keep that lift in the lower belly. Maybe thinking of a little baby cat back in the lower part of the body, but upward facing dog in the upper part of the body. And then inhale, come on back up. Bring the feet about 50% closer. So they're not as close as it's going to get, but just a little bit closer, and try it again with forward fold. Looking up out of the pelvis, before the forward fold. Slight cat back in the lower back. Upward facing dog back in the upper back. Try not to get the chin raising too far. Neutral neck. That can be hard when you're trying to raise your sternum, not to raise your chin with it. My elbows are kind of on my thighs, maybe even pushing my legs down towards the mat with my arms and elbows, opening the feet like a book. And inhale, come on back up. And then as close as you feel like is possible or safe or comfortable, same thing. One more breath. On the next inhale, come on up. And release the pose. All right, I want to do one more grounding pose. I taught it, I think last week, maybe to you guys. Maybe it was the week before. It comes from the second series it's called Shalabhasana. And it looks like you're doing almost nothing, but think through it. Come on forward, and we're going to lay on our belly. So your hands can be wherever you want them to be right now. I don't know, maybe you want to put them underneath your chin, maybe you want them beside you with the palms up, and just try to feel what that does, just laying on your stomach. I feel a release in my low back from this position. I'm just neutral right now. I'm not doing anything. Maybe wiggle your hips side to side a little bit. Maybe you'll feel some kind of a release there. If you have your right ear down on the mat, change and have your left ear on the mat, or vice versa. If your chin is on the mat, just move your head to another position so that your neck stays relaxed. Sometimes holding it in one position can make it tighten up. Now I'm going to take my fists and just wiggle the muscles from my low back down to the glute area. This is just releasing some muscles as I do this. It's like a self-massage. The knuckles of the back of my hands are rubbing the muscles on the sides of the spine and then down until it's in the glutes. So you're just looking for some comfortable release here. Use your intuition. And then just, if you can, if it's comfortable enough, put your hands to the side. Your fingernails are on the mat. And just try to push the low ribs and the iliac crest into the mat. Just push so that those two spots are grounding into the mat. It may result in your chest coming up higher. It may result in your legs coming up, or it might be that you can just stay down and feel the ribs and the iliac crest pushing against the mat. If you want to change your hands into a low chaturanga position, this is also a part of Shalabhasana. So this brings my shoulder blades back towards the center spine. All this time I'm kind of pushing my low ribs, iliac crest into the mat. So this is a warm-up for back bend. And exhale, release. And allow everything to release one more time. Maybe wiggle, maybe rub. So this just might be nice on a moon day to just work on this release. And I'll be interested to hear from you guys, to hear if that actually gave a release. I'm going to push myself into an upward facing dog, and then back into my child's pose. Couple of breaths in child's pose, maybe releasing a little bit more. And looking forward, coming forward. We're just going to do legs up an imaginary wall. So this is the beginning part of your closing series. You could also decide that you want to do a gentle back bend prep with the blocks and a gentle squeezing just to engage. It can wake up those muscles in the low belly, but I'm just going to lay down, bring the legs up. I'm not going to go up any higher. You're just allowing the blood to circulate back to the heart as you lay in this position with the legs up the wall, the imaginary wall. So you can play with flexing the foot, pointing the foot, or pointing where the balls of the feet are pointing towards the ground, but there's a little bit of a flex with the foot. You could even roll your ankles or pedal. And just allow the blood to circulate back. Breathe. And when you've had enough of that, you just bring your knees, bend your knees, and bring them up by your chest. So this is like a reclined child's pose. Sometimes it feels nice to sway side to side. Might give a little bit of a massage to some muscles on your back. And then whatever kind of stretching feels good, that's the point. You're using your intuition. What was taught in the video I was watching was to do Shavasana with legs up the wall. If that's a pretty comfortable position for you and you feel like you can just do legs up the wall for Shavasana, go for it, or just go into your regular Shavasana. That's it. We're done. It's just a gentle, slow practice using the principles of yoga that you know and enjoying the slowness and the intuition that may come from a slower practice. And I'm going to leave you with my love, my respect, and my namaste, that you might have a wonderful moon day today, and would love to be in contact with any of you that are watching. Have a great day. Namaste.